This is the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.
Hey, you already know what it is. Mazz and Bad Show coming at you with another episode. This time we have the guru of fantasy football, the one and only, the leader of Hot Take Empire, the true fantasy football chief, Kahlil Calloway. Kahlil, buddy, how you doing today?
We're doing all right. We're tired, we're exhausted, but we're ready to talk fantasy. That's the goal here.
Man, we appreciate you taking the time. First off, tell the people what you got going on, man. Why do they call you the fantasy football guru? I'll be honest with you. He won 7. He was in 7 leagues last year. He won 5 of them. Quarterfinal in one, semifinal in the other one. Charlie,
that's
ridiculous.
An unbelievable hit rate, Kahlil. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm sorry. I was in the championship in all of them. I won 5 championships. I lost 2.
Oh, so it wasn't quarter. It was I had my facts wrong. You see, dude,
Yeah.
he's absolutely insane. I'm not gonna lie. He's a secret weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I helped you win your league last year.
I
I'm
asked
just
for
that
a
guy.
couple of advice, you know what I'm saying? Like anybody could ask a little for advice. So it's not cheating. It's just I went to the best and I went, yo, I'm thinking about this. And he sometimes went, you're a fucking idiot. Don't do that. And then sometimes he went, Mazz, I was actually thinking the same thing. You're gonna win this league. Continue on. Thank you. He's the master. You
I'm
know?
a master. I mean, it doesn't matter what you draft. It doesn't matter how you start. It's all about how you finish. You gotta check so many different things, and I mean, we'll get into that probably later. But I mean, I've been doing this for what, 10 years now, so got a lot of experience under my belt. I've seen the great ones come and go. I've seen some busts. I've seen some great players. Some busts might be behind Charlie right now. Um, but that's okay. It happens. But we stick with fantasy football for sure. I'm the king of this.
So, Kahlil, obviously, fantasy football getting started. Everybody's. I have a draft on Sunday. I think I got 2 on Sunday. I know you got one. People getting in this last second because I don't know why people do their drafts. A week like they have. Like this week makes no sense to me. The week before definitely is absolutely ludicrous, and anything before is just preposterous. I don't even know how to say it.
I
Preposterous.
say preposterous. As long as
Thank you.
you draft after preseason, it's fine with me. I've seen too many players that I've drafted go down like in a preseason game or in training camp practice. Like just wait till it's all said and done. All the rosters are finalized, and then you do the draft. But that's just me.
I just feel like more guys are getting hurt in practice than ever before. I want to wait to the absolute last possible second to draft because how many times has somebody drafted and within the first week it's literally wraps for your best
I mean,
guy.
it's not just injuries too. I mean, you see all these contract negotiations going on. You see what happened with CD Lamb. I mean, Jamar Chase is in the middle of one. Brandon Ayuk. Like, there's so many guys, even every year, right? Jonathan Taylor was a big one last year that you're gonna have to, really risk it, right? Even when you see like guys like Nick Chubb, who you don't know if he's coming back, you don't know if he's not coming back, you don't know what's going on with him. So you take your risks where you think is necessary. Like I see a lot of people taking Brandon Ayuk probably 4th or 5th round. I recommend to stay away. CD Lamb when he was having his negotiations, he went from number 1 to probably number 6 on the draft board. Which now that he has a deal, he's probably going back to number 1 or number 2. But it's just all about if you're going to take a risk, you need to know what is going on in that situation. And I mean, drafting, right? I mean, it's a part of the game, man. It's part of fantasy football. It's part of the game. You got to know the game to be a part of fantasy football culture. I had a draft on Sunday, so a little bit before preseason. I think that was literally the last day of preseason, if I'm not mistaken. So I would say that's fine. I would say the week or 2 before the season starts is fine. And hey, if you see CD Lamb or Brandon Ayuk or Jamar Chase on the board, like just know what you're going to get out of it, right? You just got to understand where you're drafting, and if you feel like, oh yeah, okay, we'll take this risk here, like it's a safe bet for me, do it. If not, I would not recommend it. Firstly, for me, I'm staying away from Brandon Ayuk. That is everybody else's problem. I do not need to deal with that.
So we'll get into the poisons and the dark horses of who you should be, stashing, who you should be staying away from in a bit. But talk to me, you mentioned about having ball knowledge. And I think fantasy, it's its own monster. You know, like you can know football, but not know fantasy. What is the difference for you? The biggest difference that separates the extreme football fan, but makes them a casual when they come over to the fantasy realm?
I think it's tough because it's all about workloads, right? You have to know the backfield. I'm a big running back guy, so I know who's getting the usage. Like we look at guy. I'm sorry to keep giving examples, but we look at guys like Josh Jacobs, right? Who I mean, you Maz know I'm usually not a big fan of him, but this year, no AJ Dillon in the backfield for the Packers. They give him a boatload of money. Aaron Jones is now gone. You're going to have a guy named Emmanuel Wilson in your backfield who we don't even know, and Marshawn Lloyd, who is a third round pick, but is dealing with multiple injuries, including a hamstring injury. And again, if you know fantasy ball, certain injuries can linger on over the course of season, right? So, like a hamstring injury could be a problem for you. Like I've seen it with Keenan Allen so many times. Jahmyr Gibbs is going through it right now. There's certain injuries that you kind of have to stay away from. There's certain percentages and stats that could help you over the course of the season. Like a big one for wide receivers is targets. Like everybody's like, oh well, he gets like 2 receptions for a touchdown and 60 yards. Like, oh, that's a great day. I mean, if you think that's a great day, 2 catches and 1 touchdown is a great day.
Sounds like
That's
lucky
all
to me.
Sounds pretty lucky to me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you want the guys that are getting multiple targets a game, like a T. Higgins, who Jamar Chase gets targets, but T. Higgins is getting the ball thrown to him at least 8 times a game. You expect him to catch maybe 6 of those. That's 6 fantasy points on the board for you, right? Just off of the bat. So it definitely, stats definitely come into play. You definitely have to keep watching and analyze both games, even box scores.
So even like I just mentioned with the luck, fantasy football. Of course, you prepare all summer. You put your own big boards together. You get to the draft, but sometimes you get to the actual season, and all of that just gets washed away by injuries or just bad luck. Because for me personally, I've always said fantasy football is like 60%. Your intuition, what players you want, who you're going for, and then 40% luck. Are your guys staying healthy? Are guys falling in and out of the lineup like that? When it comes to fantasy football, Kahlil, what is one of those things that you can do to kind of prepare yourself and maybe increase that percentage of maybe instead of it being 60-40 intuition and luck, maybe making it 70-30, 80-20?
I mean, you deal with an injury, the first place I'm going to is to pick up a free agent, which
Like
is
just
the
back
waiver
up,
wire, right? And again, there's days where you're going to get lucky. The way that I always do things, I mean, Maz probably knows this best. I don't keep my players. If you see a draft of mine, it is nowhere near the same when we get to the end of the season. I maybe keep 1 or 2 players, and that includes a kicker and a defense. So, my message would be one, check the waiver wire, be ahead of it compared to anybody else, because if you're ahead of it, it's going to be great for you. I remember in 2014, 2014 or 2016, one of the 2 years, whenever Odell was a rookie, he played a game against the Cowboys, caught a bunch of passes in garbage time. That was the moment where I knew I needed Odell Beckham on my team. And the next week, he made that one-handed catch, and then the rest is history. So there's certain times where you need to know or pay attention to everything because everything matters. Puka Nacua was a big one. Kyron Williams was a big one last year. Guys that you need to just make sure that, hey, like if things go south, pay attention to something else, go after it. Even when you have guys that play great for you, but you're like, that was kind of lucky the way he did that. Like guys like Montgomery, who you think, okay, well, Montgomery's great, but how long is this going to last, right? How long is this touchdown every single week going to last? Because realistically, if I can go get a guy who is a superstar and is not playing well, I'm going to go get that guy. So it's all about like selling high and buying low.
Sure.
That's one of my things too.
So you talk about being active, of course, throughout like the season. We see so many guys. Everybody knows, 3 to 4 guys in the league. They're stingy as hell. They don't want to give up anybody that they drafted. But those guys never come out on top. I feel like it's very rare. How important is it to be active and making these moves and be willing to make trades and not fall in love with the guys that you first drafted? Because everybody thinks that they're the next great GM.
I'm not going to tell you not to fall in love with the guys that you draft, but also be realistic with the guys that you draft. Right. There's an ADP for a reason. We call that average draft position. Right. Yes, Josh Jacobs right now could be drafted in the third or fourth round. I think he could finish as a top 5 running back. If I drafted him, I would be automatically falling in love with him. But also, if I see a guy like Bijan Robinson that's available, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to trade Josh Jacobs and another asset to go get Bijan Robinson. Right. So it's all about, yes, being active is important, but it's just, it's again, like Charlie says, like there's luck to it because a lot of these guys, like you'll be surprised. Like, I mean, yesterday, I'll give a perfect example. Um, I got Derrick Henry for a bag of chips, right? That's what I would call it. I gave up Montgomery, right? Who Montgomery's okay, right? But not good enough for me. Stephon Diggs, who is very unsure of what's going on during the course of the season. He's like possibly wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. And then Keenan Allen, who is in a situation with DJ Moore. So, by the way, mind you, none of these people are starting for me. But it's all about the pitch too. I pitched the fact that David Montgomery, this guy gets touchdowns. This guy is great. Derrick Henry, he's 30 years old. You don't know what's going to happen. And bam, trade happens, right? So it's all about, one, convincing the other person the reason why you fell in love with your draft pick and the reason why you're willing to part ways with your draft pick. And 2, it's also about knowing who is better than your draft pick, who is the guy that you're really going to believe in, but also don't overpay for that guy either. Buy low, sell high.
That's my personal fantasy football trade is like you're making change. You know what I mean? Like you're trading like three quarters for $1. You know what I mean? Like you're giving up like a couple guys, like a handful of guys who are kind of iffy, kind of so, and you're trading them for a surefire thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, people love depth. That's another thing too. People love depth. I'm not a big fan of depth. Am I going to start any of these guys? Right? If a person goes down, sure, right, maybe. But am I going to start Keenan Allen when we get to the season? Probably not. Right? I mean, probably not. I'm going to start guys. Whoever's in my lineup is starting. The guys on the bench, if they score, yeah, I'll be mad. But I'm also realizing I could have traded somebody in my starting lineup and somebody in my bench to get a better piece that is already in my starting lineup. So, yeah, that's another message I would say. Like, depth is not as important as you think. On draft day, it's extremely important. You always want depth on draft day, so then you can move it when you get to the season.
Trying to play chess while everybody's playing checkers, right?
Exactly.
So, Kahlil, talk me about your background, man. How did you get involved into fantasy football? I feel like every, person these days from all walks of life, not even watching the season, are playing fantasy football just to get in on the jackpot and making moves. But for you personally, how did you get started with it?
So, this is going to sound crazy. I played fantasy football before I even watched football. So, yeah. So, my friend Brad, he was like, yo, we're getting a fantasy league together. I'm like, what is a fantasy league? And he was like, again, if anybody knows me, I'm super competitive, right? So
Uber.
the moment where I get into something, like I'm locked in. So he starts telling me about it, and I'm like, okay, well, let me see what this is about. So I try it out, right? I end up getting the number 1 pick, and this is when I kind of start watching football a little bit before we do the draft because I'm like, okay, well, Calvin Johnson seems cool. Marshawn Lynch seems cool. All these guys seem cool. So we start drafting and stuff, and I'm just kind of I drafted Devin Hester at this point, which is, again, if you don't know, that's weird. It's a weird draft pick. So I don't know what I'm really doing. But once the season starts,
Quick off topic question for you: what position was he? A wide receiver?
wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
He was definitely getting those special team touches too, right?
It
Not at
didn't
this
count
time.
though. It didn't count, right? Or
So it would count, but the yards wouldn't count.
yeah. Okay. All right.
So he can catch it, right? Or he can catch the ball and it would count, but he doesn't catch the ball. He just, gets a punt return and runs. So in this case, he was my 5th round draft pick, which I looked stupid doing that. But we ended up being okay. So we go ahead and start drafting. My team is okay. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go to the waiver wire and make some moves. I come across a name called Jeremy Hill from the Cincinnati Bengals. Went to LSU. I was like, huh, LSU. I started looking at their jerseys. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Let me pick him up. Then, like I said, with the Cowboys, watch Cowboys game. Odell Beckham. That's a cool player. We're gonna put him at the wide receiver 3. So my lineup at this time, because I didn't watch a lot of football. I knew who Cam Newton was. So my lineup was Cam Newton. It was probably my best team ever, and I didn't even know what I was doing. So Cam Newton, Jeremy Hill, Marshawn Lynch, Calvin Johnson, AJ Green, Odell Beckham, Travis Kelce.
That's monstrous.
It's the greatest team I've ever assembled.
What year is this? Like 2014?
2014.
Yeah.
So Kelsey's not there yet.
Yeah.
Calvin's getting to his last year. Marshawn is still Marshawn.
Yep.
AJ Green had a monster year. That was the year he had that Hail Mary catch against the Ravens. So yeah, it was a phenomenal team. And I was just like, you know what? I'm hooked. Because when you're watching Scott Hanson on Red Zone and you're seeing your guys score, I can't describe the feeling, but it's such a great feeling when they score and when everything's going right for you. And I was just like, once you get one championship, you need to get another and another and another. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to win this league as many times as I can. We've done it for 10 years. I've won it 3 times out of the 10 years. There have only been 2 multi-winners. It's me and my friend Matt. He's only won it twice, and that was this year. So let's just say that's the way I got into fantasy football. And again, just the fact of your player scoring and just still being competitive is an easy thing for me to get involved in. And I was hooked.
I don't know if there's another like better day than when you have that fantasy football draft, preferably in person. I mean, it's literally the one thing that has got like most of the guys in my family to bond again for like years, just not like, oh, like we'd see each other, family barbecue, everybody just like chilling, but like actively doing something, like the memories that come with that. And then obviously, my sister, some other cousins, like getting involved with it. Like, it doesn't matter whoever wants a part of it, as long as you're going to take it serious, like come get the action. But honestly, I feel like it has become like, there's America's pastimes, right? Of all the time, whether it's watching baseball or the Super Bowl, what have you. But I truly feel like fantasy football has become America's pastime.
Oh, fantasy football is huge, man. I mean, you used to see how many players get DM'd about fantasy football. It might be more than, honestly, it might be more than betting. I think it might be more than betting. They probably get more DMs about fantasy football than betting. I would say that.
You guys know that they just recently put out that apparently there was more people sports gambling in the United States than actively participating in the stock market.
Yeah,
I believe it.
I believe it. I believe it. I mean,
Just
people know sports.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was kind of like the first like legalized version of gambling, where it's just like obviously there's money at stake here. You have punishments that you don't want to come in last place, which fellas, side note here, what do you think is the best punishment that you've heard of?
Best or worst?
Best if you're not it, so the worst one.
So last year I joined this fantasy league with a couple friends of mine from my hometown. It turned out to be not great because like you ever join a league where like halfway through the season like a third of the teams don't even like adjust their lineups anymore. So prior to the draft, everyone had agreed upon a milk mile for last place, which is you got to drink a gallon of milk and then run a mile. And I don't know if you guys know, but dairy and exercise doesn't always coexist together very well.
Yeah, that's horrible. The worst one I've heard is 24 hours at an IHOP or Waffle House, and you
That's
knock
that's
off you knock off an hour for every pancake or waffle that you down.
That doesn't sound so bad. I could do that. Like, give me like 5 hours. I could. I'll get out of that IHOP.
That's what we're doing.
Buddy.
That's what we're doing for our main league. That's the punishment this year.
That's a good punishment.
24 hours at a Waffle House, and you gotta eat 24 pancakes and take a pancake off for each hour. And then for another league, I work at a children's dome, pretty much, where we have parties and stuff. And we have a fantasy league for center. I'll just say center court. So they have to walk in and dress up as Mario for the entire day, and they just stand at the door and do Mario.
That's a good one.
Or I think there's another one that's a lemonade stand. You have to make like $50 at the lemonade stand, and you can't leave until you make $50. So you could be there like the next day,
Yeah,
and the next day, and the next
that
day.
does. I mean, how much you charging for the lemonade?
Hey, that's up to them. That's up to them. No, I mean, you gotta find a way to make $50.
Got to market it, Chuck. And this ain't listen, with inflation, it's no longer 25 cents a cup, but you also, like, who's going to pay $5 for a glass of lemonade?
Nobody.
You know, like, you might be, you're lucky if you get $2. I'm hitting somewhere in that $1.25 range.
I like that. $1.50.
Yeah.
Take Venmo.
It's a lot
Speaking of, I'm pretty sure our good boy Anthony Cafone, shout out Take the Turn podcast, owes us a fantasy football punishment with those lovely locks as his have to come off.
Yep. They should have been off by now.
Yeah, good luck with that.
He's not allowed in the friend league if he doesn't do it. I'm just saying.
Good luck with that. And cutting his hair? No way.
I got buzzer. Should we bring it to the party this weekend?
Yeah, do it.
You think? Yeah, I think we should do it. Just come up right behind him, a little. Meow.
I think he might kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might kill you.
Yeah, it's all right.
I know I'd kill you.
I like living on the edge, you know. I know you would, Charlie. I mean, geez. Come on, bro. I mean, like, listen, bald is beautiful. Just come join. Come join.
Maybe
You know,
maybe if I start losing my hair, I'll just buzz it all off. Like
it's gotta grow a beard, dude, and
just-
you're chilling.
just
You know, look at Kahlil.
full,
Khalil's growing this beautiful goatee chin strap combo right now. I see him using Just for Men and Hims, getting that hairline back a bit, you know. But if it all doesn't go right, he you know, grows the beard, shave the head, he's fine. You know. But listen, getting back on topic, right? Let's talk about I believe most leagues, you ever hear anybody talk about it, it's somewhere between a 10 to 12 league PPR, right? Points per reception. For anybody that doesn't know, you've been living underneath a rock, but obviously every time a guy catches the ball, that is also a point with everything else that they score it with. Kahlil, I want to do a mock draft with you for the first 12 positions. So I'm going to go, me and Charlie, obviously, going to come down here. We're going to give you the position. You tell me who you think is the best option for that position to be drafted. Okay. All right?
They can do that. Yeah.
So, obviously, with the number one right now, everybody's been talking about Christian McCaffrey. However, you see people trying to pull some backdoor tactics of, oh, dude, the injury history. He's not going to replicate the year that he had last year. There's only so much that the 49ers could have success with. Is he still the number one pick locked in for you, or is it too much of a risk with the injury history?
He's the number one pick. I don't know why I would change. I don't care about injury history, unless you have a current injury going on right now, which he does, but it's not that bad. It's not to the point where I'm not drafting him number one.
Yeah, I feel like he would just look absolutely foolish if he has the year that he's literally just averaged over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
It's the risk isn't even there for me because there's so much protection on that team. I don't know how they keep running this back, but they do, and I like that pick. Absolutely number one. Don't let anybody try to talk you out of it.
When you look at the running backs right now, I mean, or even last year, there's such a big gap between McCaffrey and everybody else. And that's there's a reason for that. He's that great. Even if he came out of games early, he was still getting a touchdown for you. And that guaranteed 6 points is crucial.
Fellas, I got to be honest with you. The worst time that I've ever been talked out of position, I was doing a NBA basketball fantasy draft, right? We put a lot of points on defense that year, and I got talked out of drafting LeBron James with the number one selection, and took Kawhi Leonard the year that he held out from the Spurs.
Yeah, what a genius.
So never again. Whoever the number one pick is, that's it. If it doesn't work out, I'm still looking smart because it's not my fault that he got hurt. That was the pick that you had to make. Coming around number two, a lot of talk of it. You know, do you go with the most powerful wide receiver? I've been hearing Tyreek Hill. I've also been hearing people that love getting their running backs up first. A couple of names like Bijan Robinson. And Co, who are you going with?
Can I take a guess real quick?
Okay.
What you're gonna say? You're
Yeah.
either about to say CD or Justin Jefferson.
No.
I don't
No,
think so. He's
I'm
going
off.
running back,
I'm
I
out,
think.
I'm off my rocker. My bad.
Tyreek Hill.
Wow. Okay.
Tyreek Hill was the closest I've seen since Cooper Kupp getting 2,000 yards. He's been the most consistent receiver. It doesn't matter if it's Skylar Thompson. It doesn't matter if it's Tua Tagovailoa. At the end of the day, he's going to get yards and he's going to get you fantasy points. He is a deep threat, which can get you points like that. If he catches 160-yard pass, that's 12 points or 13 points already, right? So why wouldn't you want the deep threat that's going to get you quick points and big playability? Give me Tyreek Hill.
All right, coming to our third spot. Again, everybody likes to go wide receiver heavy. Is that the strategy for it, or are you looking at specific personnel on where guys are valued at? Because me personally, I love getting a good running back. Especially, I feel like wide receivers so much with the PPR, guys can pop off left and right. I feel like getting a running back, there's such a big difference there. But how do you feel about that?
I think with PPR, especially full PPR, it's tougher to really advocate for the running back position because the receivers that are on the board, elite level receivers, they're tiers, right? So if you're not getting Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you're going to have to settle with a Saquon Barkley, a Kyron Williams, a Derrick Henry, which I'm okay with, right? I mean, you see Bijan and Brees Hall, they're great, but reception wise, it's not going to be as great as you think. Brees Hall last year was great because Zach Wilson needed his check down. Aaron Rodgers does not need a check down. That is for sure. This ball is going to Garrett Wilson. Number 3 pick. If I was on the clock, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. There's no way the year that he had last year and he finally got paid. Give me the green light on CeeDee Lamb.
I'm taking notes out here right now, man. I got 2 drafts this weekend.
Yeah, you got to get ready, man. It's a real CeeDee Lamb's an easy pick for me.
Don't worry, we'll be putting out a graphic list. Shout out Stefania with Kahlil's picks here for it. You know, giving some people some gems. Don't worry, we'll always tag you for your contribution to the team, buddy. We appreciate you. Moving on to our fourth pick. Where's it at?
This is where it gets tough, right? Because I mean, you have Jamar Chase, but he's dealing with such a contract problem right now. You have Bijan Robinson, who I think is going to pop off, but there's a lot of uncertainty. Brees Hall is there as well. I'm not really thinking about Justin Jefferson right now. I'll go with Jamar Chase, which is a little risky, but he's again, Bengals have the easiest schedule this year. I mean, they were 4th place last year, so they're going to have a 4th place schedule this year, which is eye opening for me. Joe Burrow is back. That connection is going to be amazing. Hopefully, Chase gets paid. That's kind of what I'm banking on. If not, I still see him playing the first game.
So with the contract holdout, first off, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at of how much that makes you nervous with wanting to draft him?
I would say about a 6. Right.
Okay.
I'm a little worried, but I know the level of talent, and I've heard things about Zach Taylor that he's saying that he's going to play the first game. The only problem that I have was today, which is Wednesday, August 28th. He said he said he was going to practice and continue practicing. Jamar Chase didn't practice today.
He's physically present, just not practicing.
He's just not practicing.
It's the hold in.
To be fair, Charlie loves the Holden. Big fan of the
I'm
Holden.
a big fan of the hold in.
You know, but I mean, listen, we saw CeeDee Lamb completely erase all Cowboys mention anything on his social media, and then week and a half later, boom, he got the bag. So I feel like this one could work. Now, you said that you were holding off on Justin Jefferson and not thinking about him just yet. I'm assuming that it has everything to do with the quarterback position, right? And when it comes to Jamar Chase, first off, can you talk about, like, obviously having these star guys, but I feel like people don't always factor in who's throwing to them. Is that something that you're always considering, or are you more okay?
Absolutely, it's not even a question to me. Justin Jefferson talent wise is not a question, but I can't tell you the person that has finished as overall the wide receiver one that didn't have a top five quarterback in that year. Right. Last year, I believe it was CD Lamb. Dak Prescott finished in the top five in quarterback fantasy points. So automatically, it makes me think that Sam Darnold finishing as a top five quarterback, not happening. So that's why I say stay away from Justin Jefferson, especially with the names I just said. Quarterback wise, it's significantly better, and they're just as talented.
So let me flip that on you, right? Obviously, Joe Burrow, when on the field, is one of the best in this era of football, but already a big injury history since playing at the NFL level. How much does that scare you coming into this season?
Doesn't scare me. He took time off. He didn't linger and keep playing. He immediately sat out, and now he's fine. That's all that matters. I Here's my thing. This is what I'll say also. The only thing that concerns me about injuries is hamstrings, and if you tore your ACL. Brees Hall was the one out. Brees Hall. There's only two outliers there have ever been of the torn ACL, and you coming back the first year after you tore it. Brees Hall and Adrian Peterson. Those are the two running backs that I've ever seen that have come back from the torn ACL and been perfectly fine. The first year. It's always the second year. We saw it with Saquon. When Saquon came back the first year, he was okay, but he wasn't the same. The next year, the Giants make the playoffs. Saquon Barkley has a phenomenal year. Right. I think this year, when you look at Brees Hall, right, he's in his second year after his torn ACL. I think he goes through the roof. So with anybody, that's the way that I look at it. Even if it's running back, wide receiver, quarterback. You've coming off a torn ACL. I don't want you the first year you're back. I want you the second year.
What about the Achilles? That's been all the talk with Aaron Rodgers and some other guys. It's a big injury. When it's on the planting foot, does Achilles scare you at all when it comes to these injuries?
Again, I know the ACL more. Achilles is also a tricky one, but you can come back from an Achilles quicker than you can come back from an ACL tear. Right. The ACL tear is probably the worst that you can have. So I think the Achilles, Aaron Rodgers, again, him not at least playing a drive in preseason. I would have liked to see that, just one drive. But again, I think he'll be fine, especially when you're playing a team like the Niners. You have to be prepared for that. So, yeah, I don't see a problem with the Jets offense right now.
Thank God for modern medicine, right? Because there was a time where an Achilles tear, that was wraps. Your career was, hitting the graveyard, and that's it. But, bouncing back from it. Speaking of bouncing back, that moves us on to our fifth spot. Who you got?
This is tough. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but we'll go Bijan Robinson. Yeah, this dude is just I can't express it enough. I said it last year. This dude is super talented. I mean, talent wise, this is gonna sound crazy. I think he's better than CMC talent wise. I
Wow.
mean, this guy is 22, 23 years old. He moves he moves like he has no ACLs. He moves like I've never seen anybody move this way. The way that he can juke out defenders, the way that he can find his way in the red zone. Even last year when he didn't give it a lot of touches, he still played extremely well. He's going to get a increased workload. The offense coordinator that he had last year, Arthur Smith, is or head coach rather, whatever it is, it's long gone. So get him out of here. This year is the year for Bijan Robinson. And if I'm going to take him anywhere, it's going to be somewhere in this 5 to 8 range.
Okay, why not Brees Hall in that spot there?
I like Brees Hall, but again, like you said, the Jets are the Jets, right? And Aaron Rodgers, he has a history more of throwing to his wide receiver one than automatically punching it in with the running back. I don't remember Aaron Jones finishing in the top five in fantasy. Maybe that's because of injuries and stuff like that. But regardless, Brees Hall is super talented, but Bijan Robinson is the guy here.
Gotcha. So moving on to our sixth spot.
We're gonna go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Um, yeah, he's the safe bet. He's probably the most safe receiver you can take, right? CD or besides CD Lamb now, but Tyreek Hill dealing with a hand injury right now, thumb. Jamar Chase dealing with contract issues. Amon-Ra St. Brown last year had something torn in his tricep, and he played throughout the entire year and had a phenomenal year, which makes me think that he's only going to step up another level. Jared Goff had a great year last year. The offense seems fantastic. Nothing seems to really be changing. Jameson Williams might get an upgraded workload now, but for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't see anything changing. He's probably my safest bet in the first round. So 6, let's go with him.
So obviously with Detroit, you think about you talk about Jared Goff having that big year, Marrazzo St. Brown within your top 12 picks at 6 here. How much does coaching play a factor in for you when you're thinking about drafting a team? When just play style, do you prefer a team that passes a heavier more, or competency when it comes? We know that Campbell likes to take a lot of risks, so you might be getting those extra downs with it. How much does that factor into you?
I will say this: coaching necessarily it matters, but I think the way the team is matters, right? Matters on how good the team's going to be. So if we look at a Bijan Robinson, Atlanta just upgraded with a better quarterback, which honestly that might be the only coach, obviously a new head coach, which makes me automatically think that they're going to be a better team. Which what do you see now? One, better red zone touches, which is a huge factor in fantasy. Obviously, I don't need to state why. You see the team success is riding on him. Offensive line play. There's a lot of things that play a factor. I would say for the good teams, though, you're going to like certain guys. And even with certain receivers, like garbage time could be a factor for a guy like Justin Jefferson. I don't think the Vikings are going to be a very good team, but Justin Jefferson might get a lot of garbage time points. I would rather rely on team success and them getting red zone work rather than, or red zone opportunities. Let's say that red zone opportunities rather than a guy who's going to get garbage time. So the Amon-Ra's, the Jamar Chase, the Tyreek Hill, Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey are all on good teams. So, yeah.
All right, take me to number 7, buddy.
This is where I take Breece Hall. He's a fantastic running back. Again, like I said, I like Garrett Wilson this year too, but like you said, running back is kind of slim this year. And Breece Hall is the pick for me. He's super talented. Second year coming off the torn ACL. He had a phenomenal year last year, especially to end off the year. I expect the way he ended off the year is going to be the same way he starts the year. So, give me Breece Hall.
I also think he will be utilized in the passing game. At least I know you're saying Zach Wilson towards the end of last year was doing a lot of the checking down, Trevor Siemian as well, and all those other backup quarterbacks the Jets were playing. But I think the Jets know they have a weapon in Breece in the passing game. Like he has the ability to just take a screen to the house if he gets the proper opportunity to do so. I think that'll definitely. I mean, obviously, yeah, Garrett is going to get funneled most of those targets, but I think Breece's screen game will still definitely be a factor in this season coming up.
Charlie, being our resident Jets fan, Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall, who do you expect to have the better season?
Dude, you can't ask me that and expect me to give you a non-biased answer. I'm sorry.
All right. Kahlil, moving over to position 8.
Yeah, I can't let him fall this far. Justin Jefferson. Again, he's super talented. It's hard for him not to be picked very early. But at the same time, you have to remember Sam Darnold is his quarterback. We've seen it multiple years with DeAndre Hopkins. Phenomenal receiver talent-wise, but he would probably get drafted in the second round in most drafts because he didn't have the quarterback. So Justin Jefferson at 8 is probably a good spot for him. I think he does have potential to get into the top 6, but for me, I'm sticking with 8 for him.
Number 9.
This is where I go Garrett Wilson. Aaron Rodgers loves his number 1 receiver. History tends to repeat itself. This is Davante Adams, and I'm a big Davante Adams fan. This is Davante Adams on crack. This is Davante Adams on a different level. Garrett Wilson is like that. Garrett Wilson has proved He doesn't need Aaron Rodgers. But having Aaron Rodgers will only benefit him, and it will be huge for this year. It should have happened last year. It's going to happen this year. Give me Garrett Wilson at 9.
10.
10. This might shock a lot of people. Let's go with Saquon Barkley. The Philadelphia Eagles are just everybody on their team is just fantasy galore. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, even Dallas Goedert is amazing. Like this is just a team that you want to be a part of. They're gonna get in the red zone this year. It's just gonna happen. Jalen Hurts, yes, I know he'll take the QB rushes. Da 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 da. I expect Saquon Barkley to get in the end zone this year. DeAndre Swift did last year. Saquon Barkley is a much better player. They're paying Saquon Barkley a lot of money to probably get in the end zone for sure. So I see Saquon Barkley being a huge pick. Again, this is the best O-line he's ever had. So for me, not to pick him at this spot is just criminal.
So, you talk about wanting to be everybody wants to be a part of this Eagle squad, right? What do you think about taking a guy like Saquon who, is going to have a part of a really good team, but as you said, wide receiver 1 really good, wide receiver 2 pretty good, quarterback not only good, taking away run touches, right? Or say a Marvin Harrison who's probably going to see the bulk of touches on a team that's not going to be that good. What would you preference?
I think it's knowing the situation, right? I mean, if you're telling me AJ Brown and Marvin Harrison, is that really your question?
No, yeah, basically, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I'm taking AJ Brown. um, I mean, again, like winning is a big part. And if I know a guy is going to get in the red zone a majority of the time and is just as talented as the other guy that's going to get touches, why would I not take him? Regardless, AJ Brown will get touches and he'll also get better red zone looks. That's exactly why it's an easy pick for me. Like, I can't. Again, Saquon Barkley. Again, you look at a guy like Jonathan Taylor, even right, who we know is going to get a workload, but Saquon Barkley is probably a better pick because he might get in the end zone more because he's just simply on a better team. And on top of that, they're going to be winning a lot of games, which means what? You're going to have to waste the clock and do what? Run the ball.
Got you. So obviously team quality over workload quantity.
Correct.
Okay, take me to 11.
11 is where I put AJ Brown. Yeah, I think AJ Brown is falling a lot in these drafts, and I honestly don't know why. I understand last year he had a little bit of like a slow start to the year, but it's AJ Brown, dude. This guy is unbelievable. He's had 3 touchdowns in a game last year. There was a point in time where he had 6 straight games with 125 yards and a touchdown in every single game. This guy is unbelievable. AJ Brown every day of the week for number 11.
And our last spot, number 12.
Goes to Jonathan Taylor. This guy is going to get a lot of touches. This guy is going to get a lot of the workload. Anthony Richardson is going to be a problem this year in fantasy. Jonathan Taylor will be a part of that success. I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Taylor finishes with 1,900 yards and probably 10 touchdowns.
Very interesting, my friend. And couldn't help but notice, no quarterbacks in round 1. We always see somebody that always overdrafts quarterback. I never think that a quarterback should go in the first round. I don't care if it's Lamar. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. But for you, when do you start thinking about those kind of guys where, there's quarterbacks that are going to get you big numbers like a Dak Prescott, but then there's guys that are going to get you an extra boost like Patrick Mahomes, like Lamar, like Josh Allen? When do you start thinking about taking those boost guys?
I would say a 12-man, probably third and fourth round. Or even in a 10-man, third and fourth round. It's tricky because Josh Allen is number 1 right now. Charlie, I know you're not a big fan of that.
No, I have a Josh Allen in a league of my own.
Oh,
Dude, he's a massive arm. His legs. He runs the ball. He's the best fantasy quarterback this year for sure, hands down.
but like, would you mind? Let's say Josh Allen gets taken one,
Okay.
and then you have sitting there at 5 or 6 for you, or let's say the 6th or 7th round, Kyler Murray. Are you going to say no?
No.
I personally would wait on a quarterback.
Really.
Let them take the Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts, I don't know, but let them take the Patrick Mahomes. Those two you can have. Lamar Jackson, even. I will go wait for Kyler Murray. I will go wait for Anthony Richardson. And if you really, really want to wait, Caleb Williams. Watch what he does this year. This kid is phenomenal. And he's only going to put up fantasy points rushing wise because he has a terrible O line. He's going to have to run for his life. And his receiving core is one of the best setups for a rookie quarterback. Caleb Williams is also another sleeper for me.
Can I ask you?
I love the pick.
Can I ask you a question with the caveat of a super flex league where you're running 2 QBs?
Okay.
You ever done that before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm in a dynasty league that does that.
That does 2 QBs. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in a super flex league like that where you're starting 2 QBs on a weekly basis, how high do the quarterbacks go? Is that
How many people are in the league?
10?
Yeah, quarterbacks will probably start flying 2nd and 3rd round
Yeah. Okay.
because you're going to need a really great quarterback. Because if 2 quarterbacks are going, and this is a super flex, so you have an option of another wide receiver, running back, tight end, or quarterback. You're going to need another quarterback because
Right.
they're automatically going to get put up points. I mean, imagine if I have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Automatically, that's going to give me a boost compared to everybody else. So, yeah, honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised 1st round if quarterbacks start flying.
So, Kahlil, for you, being the fantasy savant, right? What is your ideal league? What does it look like? How many participants are in it? How many rounds for your draft? And what does it look like? 3 wide receivers or a tight end and a flex, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback. What does it look like for you, the ideal league?
1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, a kicker, a defense, and 7 bench spots. And obviously, probably 1 or 2 IR spots. I think is the best way. 1 flex is more than enough. You do not need to start 2 other people. Yeah, I don't need more than 1 quarterback. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and an option at flex is I think a perfect league that you're going to want, or the ideal league. Let's say that.
So, and with that ideal league, obviously you are in a plethora of leagues. Any tips for anybody out there that is managing more than one team on how to just stay on track of it? Because I know me, even with, the 3 that I'm in, I'm always fumbling just a little bit. I might miss a move on one of them. How do you stay balanced while going through your everyday life?
Yeah, I mean, I would if you got one main league, like one that's more important than everything else, I would stick with that one, and whatever waiver wire move you make in that one, I would make in all of them, right? If you make one move, do it for the rest so you don't forget. And setting your lineup, set it on Thursday, set it on Wednesday so you don't forget. If you have some questionables and you don't know who's going to start, put them in the flex option. Don't put yourself in a spot where if he doesn't play, you don't have an option of going to those later games and picking up somebody really quick on the waiver wire and replacing them.
So we've been seeing the tight end spot really boost in value lately, right? The George Kittles of the world, Travis Kelce has been, guys are clamoring for him right as top. I've seen him in round 2, some one time round 1, and it actually worked out for the person that took it. So with the tight end, right? A lot of people are talking about Sam Laporta being tight end number 1. Do you believe that that's going to be the case? And how important is that position for drafts for you?
Sam Laporta is great. Tight end 1, I would say so. He got the most red zone work last year. Jared Goff loves him. I wouldn't see why Sam Laporta wouldn't be an option. Do I need Sam Laporta? No. There's a lot of later round options that I love. Evan Ingram is one of them. He was phenomenal at the end of the year. He gets a lot of touch. He doesn't get a lot of red zone work, but I think that will change this year because of the departure of Calvin Ridley. He was a huge target last year. His receptions were through the roof. He definitely had his best year career-wise for sure, and I only see it going up for him. Kyle Pitts is another one. This guy's the number 4 overall pick. He was drafted there for a reason. All he needed was a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is the guy to show him the way. This is the guy you're looking at. Kyle Pitts is going to be a phenomenal pick.
This is the Kyle Pitts year.
This is the Kyle Pitts year.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Last year I wasn't really on the train, but this year is definitely the year. Yeah, there's no other. If it doesn't work now, it's not working.
Never gonna. Yeah, my bad. It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen. So this is the only time it can work. Another guy I would look at is a Cole Kmet if you really want to wait very low. A lot of receivers, a lot of receivers on the team, but again, Cole Kmet is going to be a reliable target. He was also a top 10 pick. So I would say tight ends are a hot commodity this year. I would say there's a lot of them, a lot more than you think.
So, and
I would wait.
You mentioned, a career year for certain guys. I instantly thought of Hollywood Brown, right? Going to the Chiefs, going to be the wide receiver number 1, presumably for Patrick Mahomes. Where is a guy like that where you're thinking round-wise, do you expect a big year from him? Because we talked about Justin Jefferson falling because of quarterback talent. This is a guy that I think that could be elevated because of quarterback talent.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Chiefs in general, besides Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce, I'm not interested. The only person that Pat Mahomes has really used to his full advantage was Tyreek Hill at receiver. Rashee Rice was good last year, but fantasy-wise, I wasn't really starting him. We look at Xavier Worthy as somebody that might interest me, because of the potential of him being the next Tyreek Hill or being the next speedy guy. But yeah, Marquise Brown, I think he's going to miss a few games. Juju Smith-Schuster just got added to the team. I don't need a Hollywood on my team. Sorry.
Hey, fair enough. Let's get to those sleepers though. Give me your top 5 people that they're absolutely sleeping on. Starting from the bottom at 5, working our way up to 1. Who's your 5th spot?
Put me on the spot here. This is tough. Number 5, I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. This guy out of Jacksonville, rookie. Calvin Ridley's gone. This guy was phenomenal in college. This guy was phenomenal in preseason and training camp. Christian Kirk, I think, will take a step down this year. He's a league winner. I would take him as soon as he can. I love him. I like Malik Neighbors as a receiver, but I think Brian Thomas is in a better spot than Malik Neighbors is. So why would I not take Brian Thomas over a guy like Malik Neighbors? Malik Neighbors is going in the 5th round. Brian Thomas is going in like the 10th. I would take him at 8th round, 9th round. So yeah, I'll go with him at 5. 4, let's go with Jerome Ford. Nick Chubb is not here from what I know. He hasn't been here. He's not going to play for the first 4 weeks. Coming off a broken leg is not easy. It's an easy pick for me. Jerome Ford is going to be the cow for a little bit. I don't know if Kareem Hunt's still in Cleveland, but even if he is, Jerome Ford was getting the carries even when Kareem Hunt was there. So Jerome Ford at 4. 3 to 2 and 1 is where it gets tough because I have a plethora of people that I can choose from. Yeah, let's go with the quarterback this time. Let's go Caleb Williams, like I said. This guy is put in the best position possible, other than O-line, to succeed. I mean, you have DeAndre Swift that's right next to you, who is going to get those passes and going to get the workload that he needs. You have the receivers of Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and even Rome Odunze, who is going to be phenomenal as well, and Cole Kmet. So has there ever been a rookie quarterback set up better than him? The answer is
Never.
no. The answer is no. And that's why Caleb Williams is at 3.
In terms of
2.
pure firepower, of 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a debate for me. And people taking Jaden Daniels over him is just it's not making any sense to me. Uh, Jaden Daniels gets a lot of rushing yards, but I just don't see how you can take Caleb over Jaden Daniels. All right, number two, we're gonna go with Chase Brown, Cincinnati. Again, very solid talent. Zach Moss is aging. Zach Moss had a good year last year. They gave him a lot of money, but Chase Brown has been the guy getting carries. He's been the guy getting receptions. He's going to be the guy in this backfield that I like a lot.
He is the Joe Mixon replacement, right? Whereas
I think
yeah, Zach
I think
Moss is kind of a
Zach Moss.
stopgap.
Yeah, Zach Moss was supposed to be, but Chase Brown is just been too good. We'll just say that he's just been too good, and there's no way that you could take away from him. And number one, I'm gonna go Raheem Mostert. Um, Devon Achan is great, but he's still a backup. Raheem Mostert finished with, I believe, the second most touchdowns this year. I mean, he finished with over 20 touchdowns this year. Uh, the fact that he's falling to seventh round, eighth round for a guy that had 20 touchdowns is just blowing my mind. So yeah, Raheem Mostert is definitely on my list too.
So, talk to me about, you talked about Joe Mixon being the replacement. I instantly started thinking about, guys that are starting to age out, but are in like good situations, or just every time you hear it's going to be a down year, then you just remember just how good they are. For a guy like Joe Mixon in a new system, a guy like Stephon Diggs in a new system, and even Mike Evans, who is Mr. Consistency. What are you expecting from guys like this? A lot of years playing the game, maybe not the cream of the crop, but still towards the top of their position groups.
Uh, I don't like it. Like, I again pause before I say this. We like them young out here. All right. All right. We like them young. All right. We like running backs that are younger. We do not like the older guys, except for Derrick Henry because he's Derrick Henry. There's obviously outliers. Mike Evans has been phenomenal for years, but he's getting drafted in rounds 2 and 3. I'm no, not happening for me. Joe Mixon, I think he's going to get in the end zone a few times. I think he's going to be great for this offense. Do I love his rushing efficiency? Do I love the yards per carry? Not really. But if he's there in round 5, I'll definitely snag him for sure.
So, you said obviously age, stay away from. Let's talk about guys to just avoid like the plague. Again, similar to our sleepers. You're from bottom up, your most toxic guys, don't even think about touching them this year.
Uh, and I'm gonna put this guy at 5 because he's still talented. Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs is great, right? I just told you I like the young aspect. But that ham yes, but the hamstring injury is something that I've seen for so long and I hate it. I hate when it's on my team. I absolutely hate it. I had it with Keenan Allen a few years ago, and I know what goes on with those hamstrings. Even Austin Eckler a few years back, those hamstring injuries are no joke. And I don't want to sit there and wait for a guy after he re-injures it again. I don't need that. So Jameer Gibbs for me is at 5. I'm staying away from him. Number 4, a guy that you just mentioned, Mike Evans. And let me word this correctly. Where they are being drafted, I don't like it. Mike Evans in round 2, I don't like. I think there's a lot of better options. I think Cooper Kupp even is a better option. I think Devontae Adams is aging as well, but Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. Mike Evans is great, but again, 1,000 yards every single season, I'm not thinking it's going to happen for me. That's all I'll say. Number 3. Again, where this guy is being drafted, I don't like it. Puka Nacua. I don't get it. I personally don't get it. He had a phenomenal rookie year, but Cooper Kupp's just better. He's just better. That's Matt Stafford's guy. Puka Nacua, he's phenomenal, but he was a wide receiver 2 for majority of the year. I don't think there's a single person that won a league that had Puka Nacua as their wide receiver 1. That's just from speaking from my perspective of what I've seen. Number 2. Again, I don't get it. Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's gonna get a workload, but his team sucks. His team sucks. It's terrible. There's no reason for me to take a guy that's gonna get a workload, but it's gonna be like what 70 yards, and I'm gonna have to beg for him to score. I don't want that.
And
I don't need
you're
that on
hoping
my
he,
team.
he catches 6 passes for 10 yards or something like that, right?
Right. Like it's gonna be negative yards, it's gonna be fumbles. I don't need any of that. Ramondre Stevenson, stay the hell away from my team. That is for sure. And number 1 here. This hurts me because this is either gonna go 2 ways. He's either gonna be the biggest bust or he's gonna be a league winner. Devon Achane. Round 2. Over guys like Saquon Barkley, over guys like Kyron Williams, who had a phenomenal year last year. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't even over Derrick Henry. Achane was great in garbage time. He scored a few weeks. He had a big injury and kept him out. But again, I don't see the point of drafting a guy who is currently a backup or splitting time with somebody else. We saw what happened with Bijan Robinson last year, splitting that time. Why would I want to be in the same position, right? I would say if Raheem Mostert, God forbid, gets hurt, go after him. Go after him as much as you can, right? But round 2 for me, it's just you got to be very strategic on who you're going to have, and you want guys that are currently going to play, and you want guys that are going to get a workload. Guys like Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, even Travis Etienne. I know he's going to get a workload. Kenneth Walker even is going to get a workload. That's another sleeper. But yeah, no, I'm staying away from Devon Achane round 2.
So, a lot of talk out there about positioning and being set up to win. When it comes to the draft, where is your favorite position to be in? Some people hate being number 1 because of the long wait coming back around. I always like picks where I can get back-to-back value, so I'd rather be up towards the front or towards the bottom. Some people like being square in the middle because they feel like they're getting the best value, balance-wise throughout it. For you, where do you like it?
I think it depends on who you're drafting with, and I think it depends on, I think it depends on who you're drafting with, and it depends on the year, right? So we'll say for this year, I love the number 1 pick. I mean, getting Christian McCaffrey and coming back and having a choice of Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley possibly is eye-opening. I'm like, okay, cool with me. Number 8 is also good, right? Because that's the total opposite. But getting that back-to-back, like you said, is helpful. Where you can have Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown on your team and then come back around and possibly get a Josh Jacobs or even an Etienne that might fall to you or a Kenneth Walker. But like I said, it depends on who you're drafting with. So if you have the number 4 pick and somebody decides, all right, we're going a little early on Bijan, we're going a little early on somebody else, Tyreek Hill might fall to you at 4, and you can come back around and get a very great player on the way back instead of having one where you chose to reach on Tyreek Hill. It's all depends on who you're drafting with. But I would say the picks that I've seen that people have liked are number 3, where you can get a Tyreek Hill, CD Lamb, and then come back around and get possibly, again, a big reach here, but a Jonathan Taylor, and 8. Those are probably the picks that I've seen that have been fan favorites.
I think, me personally, I've always liked being in the latter half of the first round because I mean, yeah, of course, having like a top 5 pick is great because you can get one of those like superstar marquee guys. But I just love double dipping on the back end of the first round like that, where you're picking like 8 or 9, and then you're like in the first 2 picks of the second round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's always a great scenario, but top 5, no matter what, is going to be elite talent, right? We said Amon-Ra is a safe option, but Amon-Ra is not the Tyreek Hill. He's not the CD Lamb. He's not the Jamar Chase or the Christian McCaffrey, right? Those guys are going to be elite talents. And when you come back around and you're still able to get possibly the way it's looking Kyron Williams, that's phenomenal to me. Like that's money. That's just instant money coming to you.
So, buddy, with it too, right? Talk to me about strategy throughout like this draft. You know, we talked about where tight ends go. We talked about the value of having two elite running backs with wide receivers. Of course, we're talking PPR league here just for the most part to keep it basic, right? Defenses, kickers. When are you thinking about these? I feel like there's always an elite defense that always gets taken way too soon. I feel like kickers, when people think that they have a lot of value, you know, you've seen them sixth, seventh round, potentially. Where do you like these other positions that can change the game? People don't normally think about them too much, but when they do, they probably overthink them and think that they're more valuable than they really are.
Yeah, dead last. These positions are going dead last, especially defense. Because look, there's a lot of great defenses, right? And sometimes defense can win you fantasy games. But you have to look at the schedule too, right? So you see a great matchup week 1. Mazz, you're gonna hate this. I have the Cleveland Browns defense for week 1. They play the Dallas Cowboys.
You're a Cowboys fan.
Cleveland Browns defense, right? Um, they were the number 1 defense last year, and they have a matchup where they could get turnovers, they could get fumbles, they could, in Cleveland especially, I see that being a huge factor. I always take defense by the week, and usually I would say on a Thursday, I would look to see for week 2 and see who is kind of catching my eye defensively and go pick them up on the waiver wire before everybody else sees it. That because again, it's extremely important. There was 6 or 7 weeks straight where I had a defense that scored a touchdown, and that was all off of strategy, all off of knowing who to get. So yeah, I would say that strategy is very important for defense, but kickers, there's a lot of good kickers, man. I mean, there's also strategy to that too, because you want guys that are going to get in the red zone, but also not always convert in the red zone. So, like a Young Wei Koo wouldn't be a bad option, right? Who else is a great option? Jake Elliott. Even if the Eagles get in the red zone, they're like, if it's 4th and 1, they'll go for it. But if not, you get your kicker. I also like looking at quarterbacks. Whoever I have at quarterback, I like having their kicker, because then it's like you get the best of both worlds. All right, you get in the red zone. Worst case scenario is you throw an interception. That's probably the worst case scenario. But you're either scoring a touchdown or you're kicking a field goal. And yeah, I'll take any of those any day.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you answering our fantasy questions. Anybody, Kahlil Calloway, you can find my man at Hot Take Empire Fantasy Football and all other platforms on Instagram. Kahlil, what else can they find you on, buddy?
Yeah, if you want to go on TikTok and go to Hot Take Fantasy, I'm going to be posting a lot more there. I do my rankings usually every week, so stay tuned for that and who you guys should be starting and sitting. Your buy low options, your sell high options. I'm here to help you. So once the season starts on Thursday, the start of the season, I will be going live on TikTok. So if you guys want to check that out. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, my personal is Kahlil Calloway, Kahlil, and that's Calloway.
Not to be confused with Khalil.
And we'll plug you down below in the description, of course, and everywhere we can. But Kahlil, yeah, thank you so much for hopping on the show today. And I like I said, I got 2 drafts this weekend, and I feel like I'm ready to knock them out.
Are you coming to Connors?
I can't. My sister's having a birthday party the same night.
I respect it. Yeah. I respect it.
I'm gonna be honest. We're invading Connors and we're setting up a war room in the living room and we're just drafting.
That's kind of
there's gonna be a whole party going on. We're just gonna section ourselves off and we're gonna win our drafts.
That's pretty awesome.
Kahlil, before we go, of course, we didn't want to just pounder you with questions without having a little fun here. Charlie's got some headlines from the week. Of course, let's get right into it with the CD Lamb contract. as a Cowboys fan, as a CD Lamb jersey owner, how excited are you that this deal finally got done?
It's about damn time, dude. I am so dude, I cannot express to you how tired I am of Jerry Jones. And the fact, oh yeah, we signed CD Lamb on the same day, or not even the same day. The next day, we signed Dalvin Cook. Dalvin
Running
Cook.
back.
Should have drafted. He should have gotten Derrick Henry. There's so many options at the running back position. I'm pissed about it still. We have Zeke. It is whatever. I hate Zeke, but it is what it is. But CeeDee Lamb is home. He's signed for 4 years. I'm happy about that. I can stop looking at jersey swaps of him in a Kansas City uniform. So
Ugh.
that's phenomenal.
I feel like
68 million signing bonus. Sheesh.
I
He
feel like,
deserves it.
I feel like the Cowboys always do the same thing with all their star players. Whenever they're up for an extension, they drag it out. They wait till we're kind of getting close to the deadline at the end here. The season starts in a week and a half, and then after a month or so of saying, "Oh, we're not in no rush, we're in no rush," they pay him top of the market. You know what I mean?
Which was so stupid because now that Justin Jefferson got paid, everybody wants that kind of money. It's just ridiculous, dude. Jamar Chase is going to want more. I can only imagine if you're a Bengals fan because now you got to pay Higgins and you got to pay Chase, and you're probably not paying Higgins.
I will say though, I do feel like, Jerry does, of course, like drag it out, but he ends up resetting the market and kind of like you think of like the Bengals. That is a team that just got screwed by this contract coming
No,
out with it. You don't think so?
no, no, because Justin Jefferson screwed it up in the first place. It's all Justin Jefferson's fault. It's definitely not. It's definitely not CeeDee Lamb's fault. It's definitely not. It's definitely the Cowboys' fault for not jumping on it first when he should have gotten extended in February. But it is, or yeah, literally right when the season ended, you should have extended him or March, whatever it is. Just I hate this
off
team.
rip. They should have done it.
Yeah,
I hate this team.
I with this team, right? There's still two giant players that need to be extended now in Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. I think that's the order that we're gonna see it come in. How do you feel about that? You don't think so?
Now listen, man. I got to be honest with you, Mazz. This year for the Cowboys is not going to be a good year. I'm just being transparent. We're not going to have a good year. Micah Parsons, I need to get signed. That's for sure. Quarterback. Dak Prescott's getting up there in age, dude. I wouldn't mind parting ways. I'll be honest.
Oh my God! Stop
Look,
it!
he had a great year last year, but again, what did it get us? What did it get us? It didn't get us anywhere.
It ain't his fault.
It's part of his fault.
I don't
He
think
threw
so.
interceptions. He threw turnovers when he shouldn't have.
Dude, where's my wide receiver two? Where's my running back? Where the hell was my defense? What are we doing here?
Yeah,
Coaching?
but at
What
the
are
end of
we
the day,
doing?
listen. This isn't a first time offense. Okay.
The
There's
year
been a
before it was coaching.
The year before,
You're
maybe.
calling a QB sneak without any damn timeouts. What are you doing?
Listen. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback, but I wouldn't
Sorry,
mind parting
QB
ways.
draw. My apologies.
I wouldn't mind parting ways. I wouldn't mind trading up in the draft. I wouldn't mind getting somebody that's got a big wrist on him. I wouldn't mind that.
What are you
that's what I'm
implying
saying.
here?
Bust down my AP. Perfect timing. That's all I'm saying. Might be perfect timing for us. So I'll say that. And hopefully maybe a new coach that comes with him.
All right, so stepping away from that for a second because that's just like a tinge outlandish. Let's fast forward to next spring, right? Dak's the unrestricted free agent. He walks. The team is still in a place where they can compete and be relevant. Would you be okay with bringing in a rookie quarterback to helm that?
I don't want to be.
Because
we're good.
you'll still have
Because
CD, you'll still have
good.
Parsons, right?
How many years have we been good and relevant, but it doesn't get the job done? I want to win a Super Bowl, right? We don't mind just rebuilding and trying to go after the big prize. That's all that matters is the big prize. I don't want no consolation award of just divisional. We're a good team, sure. I don't mind being bad and rebuilding and getting where we're supposed to be. But right now, this team is not a Super Bowl team, if we're being honest.
I really think it can be, bro, if I'm being 100 with you. And I think Dak's the guy to
I don't.
take
I
him
don't.
to it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you're being 100 with me.
I am. I don't think I now don't I've already said I think Philly's winning the division on this show. If you saw our graphic, that was mainly, Charlie's picks with it, which I think Charlie did a phenomenal job with, but I did disagree with only about 3 to 4 things on it, and one of them was where the Cowboys were ranked. Charlie thinks that they're going to be decent this year. I still think they're going to be decent. I just think that Philly's going to be way better. I firmly believe building around Dak could take you there. I said it. You locked up CD. I think you lock up Dak, and then Micah I can lock up next year because I actually feel like he's the one that enjoys being a Cowboy the most out of the 3 of them, and I've said that before on the show. I think that with some consistency, a second damn wide receiver and a defense that doesn't get everybody and their mother to air raid them could actually get them there with this group of guys.
Matt. No.
And I need a running back. I do need a running back. I don't care if it's a rookie, whatever, somebody that could just do something.
The answer is no, Mazz. It's just
Stop it.
It's no. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons doesn't even want to be in Dallas. He wants to go to a different team in Texas.
He wants to go play with CJ Stroud.
Yeah, he wants to go somewhere else. He doesn't even want to be in Dallas. He still wants to stay in Texas, just not in Dallas. Let's get that straight.
Don't say that.
The Cowboys as a whole, mediocre. All right, and I'm being transparent. We're mediocre. We're gonna get to the top. We're gonna have a decent way to end off the season, and we're gonna make the wild card, and we're gonna lose. And we're gonna lose to what? A Niners team that we've never beaten. When have we ever beaten the Niners?
I'm with you. I'm not saying that.
When the Eagles, right? We beat them last year. They're coming back with Saquon Barkley.
I'm not saying this is the year.
With a better defense. They're coming back with a lot of their guys for another year. I don't think you understand like how big that is. Coming back with a similar team, if not the same team from last year, and just improving is very hard. Because the Cowboys haven't done it.
That's not what I'm implying. I'm not saying we're going anywhere this year. I'm saying this group of guys retooled for the next season. I really believe that could be. You got to keep the band together. We're right there.
No, you don't. No, we're not there. The band is listen. The band is over. All right, split them up. Split them up. Let's create a new band. And let's go win a damn championship. Okay, because this isn't working.
Yeah,
all right, it hasn't worked. All right, Tony Romo and Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray were the closest thing to us winning a championship. Then we go ahead and get Zeke and Dak Prescott. We were lucky we were able to get them. But right now is not DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, and Tony Romo. And until I see a similar team to that, I don't want it.
Well, no, to be fair, though, did Tony Romo ever had a year as good as Dak Prescott had this past season? I don't think so. CeeDee Lamb is looking better than Des Bryant. All right, you get the running back in there. Now we're talking business. And the defense, which still isn't where it's supposed to be, is better than any defense Romo played with. So I'm sorry. They're right there, dude. There is like 2 to 3 pieces and just some goddamn competency from actually getting Cowboys to the place where they say that they're getting every year, and that's a championship. And it starts with competency. This could be the group because, like you just said, how many times are we going to give up on a top guy and replace him with somebody as the same caliber or even better? It's not going to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna do this comparison. Cowboys had to deal with at that time the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. The San Francisco 49ers is Seattle on a different level. Okay, offensively, that's for damn sure. The Packers, the Eagles are better than that Packers team. I would say the Lions team is probably on par with that Packers team at that time. And the Lions currently are probably matching that team. There's more competition in the NFC. And we're sure as hell not beating any competition in the AFC. We couldn't even beat Miami. We're not beating no Kansas City. We're not beating no Baltimore. Mazz, you got to look at the paper.
I'm
You
looking
got to
at
go
next
back
year.
to the.
Maz,
I'm at the drawing
you,
board.
I don't know if you are.
you can't
I am.
you can't look at next year because this is the last year of McCarthy and Dak. They are entering the last year of their contracts. There is no 2 years from now for them
Bro,
right now.
listen, I'm fine if McCarthy has to be the sacrificial goat. All right, I'm fine with it. The
I
lamb,
know you
whatever.
are.
I'm fine with that, but it can't be Dak, bro. It can't be.
It-
Dude, you're acting like he's 40, coming off every tear ever. The guy's like, what, 31, 32? Like, come
31,
on.
30, 31, 32, and
Guys
hasn't
extended the
gotten
career.
He is
me
31 years of age.
hasn't gotten me a playoff win that I needed.
Dude, it's coming. I have faith.
I can't
have
wait any
it.
longer.
I
I
have
can't
it.
wait any longer.
You just got here. You don't know what it was like.
And
You wasn't
that's
here
the
when they said
problem.
Dez didn't catch the ball. That
That's
was
the
clearly
problem.
a catch.
That's the problem, Maz. I
You don't
haven't
know.
been here that long, and I have to deal with more. I'm not even dealing with more pain than you are, but I just think you're so used to this mediocrity that you're living in it right now. You got to get over it, dude.
Charlie, are you aware of how Kahlil became a Cowboys fan? I don't think you were on that episode.
Mm-mm.
So I took this very hat right here, right? And we put 32, all 32 teams into my hat on a little piece of paper that was folded, right? So 32 individual pieces. And for an entire 2-hour episode of Ant and Maz, back when we were on WMSC radio at Montclair State, every 5 minutes, Kahlil would pick out 3 teams out of the hat and they were eliminated. That's not who he was going with. He agreed to on because he watched so much football, he was involved in so much fantasy that he's like, I do want to take this to the next level and I do want some place to call home. Without rigging it, every 5 minutes, 3 teams out of the hat discontinued until we got to 1 team. And I swear to God, we were going to rig it and make him a Jacksonville Jaguars fan so that we could all finally meet one for the first time in our lives. And we ended up just saying, hey, let's just keep it 100. Whatever it is, happens, happens. And we made him a damn Cowboys fan. Completely unintentional.
That's unbelievable luck because like the Dallas Cowboys, like the most popular team in America, like of all 32, that's the one you picked out of the hat. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's been pulling his hair out ever since because when you're a Cowboys fan, there is this why I like the teams that I like. I know I'm the bandwagoner, right? But it has to do with the fact of if it's not a championship, you're bitching. You have this standard of this need to be great, right? So, but the fact is, we are right in this I feel like the light's right there at the end of the tunnel, but then you have this different view belief, right? Where he's like, tear it all down, and I'm like, just build it up. You're right there. Don't stop now, you know. And we're stuck in this everlasting cycle of, damn it, Jerry, get the job done and tear it down.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys do shake out this year. They're also going to be missing Deron Bland for the first, I think, month or 2 of the season. He's having foot surgery.
Yep.
He led the NFL in interceptions last year, so he's going to be a missing piece on defense. Is Diggs going to be ready for Week 1?
Yeah, he should be.
Right.
All right, there you go. Getting healthier, getting stronger. See how it goes for the Cowboys this year. Just looking around the league, there was a few other things here and there. A couple quarterback battles. Russell Wilson was officially declared the starter in Pittsburgh over Justin Fields. Any shock there, guys?
Did anybody think that this wasn't going to happen? Like, I'm sorry. I like Justin Fields. I thought Justin Fields should have been drafted higher in his draft year. But this is Russell Wilson, right? I know that it didn't work out really in Denver, but the second he got a competent head coach, he bounced back a bit, right? This is a guy who's been to the top of the mountain multiple times. I still think he has a little bit more left in the tank. I'm not saying that, the Steelers are going all the way to the promised land. I do think that if they make a trade for an Ayuk, they could shake up that division a bit and make a push past the Bengals potentially, depending on how their injury history worked out, as we've talked about. But this is Russell Wilson at the end of the day. I'm sorry. Justin Fields, I'm a fan of. He's not good enough to get past Russell Wilson in a quarterback battle right this second. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, would you rather sleep in a dumpster, or would you rather sleep in the trash can. It's pretty much the same thing. Listen, these guys just aren't good. Let's be honest. The Pittsburgh Steelers just they're not a good team. These two quarterbacks, it's just not going to work.
Winning record every year,
Um,
though.
well, again, things are meant to be broken, and this is the year where it's just not happening. Let's just be transparent. It's just not happening.
I'm with you there. I don't think Fields and Wilson are. I mean, you could argue they're both bottom 10 in the league, maybe bottom 12 in terms of quarterback rankings. I think the Steelers will still find a way to win some games this year, be competitive. But yeah, their offense, helmed by Arthur Smith of all people, it might be a rough watch offensively for Steelers fans this season coming up.
Can't be
But
worse than Matt Canada. It cannot be worse than Matt Canada. I refuse to believe
Yeah,
that it's
Arthur
gone down.
Smith,
I get it, but I refuse to believe that it's going that much worse. It's going to be better. I promise you. The only way that it could have got worse is if you brought in Nathaniel Hackett, damn it.
Okay.
I don't know how much better it gets.
That was unnecessary, Mazz.
I know, but it had to be said.
Bo Nix beat out Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham in Denver to win the starting quarterback job for the Broncos. I mean, I feel like this wasn't really going to be anything like a legitimate competition as well. Once you draft a guy in the first round like that, who's also is he 25 years old? I think, right? 24. You're gonna start him day one because you got to know what you got immediately because the clock's ticking already on him. You know. Yeah, his rookie contract, they had the team control for the next few years, but I feel like with a guy of where he's coming from out of college, you got to know what you got from day one, and I think he's going to have the reins for the rest of the season probably.
I'm completely surprised. I'm absolutely surprised. I'm not surprised that he won the job. He's clearly the best quarterback on the roster. I'm surprised that with the state that the Broncos are in, the question marks all over the place, getting rid of one of their top two wide receivers, an offensive line that is literally Swiss cheese because there's holes all over the damn place. Why the hell would you draft this guy in the first round and put him on the shish kebab over the fire and let him fry? That's what you have Stidham for. That's what you have Zach Wilson for. Put them out there the first 4 or 5 weeks until you know, hey, we can actually get some damn protection. The second you see you have a little confidence in that line, you pull out the cane, hook them off the show, and you put what should be the next star out there for me. You got to see that you have this guy protection. You don't just throw him to the fire like that. I don't care how old he is. If that's supposed to be your guy, you wasted that high of a draft pick on him. You got to have some insurance for him because what are you going to do? Snap the ball, boom, and then you literally just have Stidham and Wilson for the rest of the year. And of course, you're going to throw it down the drain, but you could protect this guy right out the gate. Why would you not do that if you took the risk on him?
Yeah, here's my thing, Mass. I don't see. Yeah, this team sucks. This team is going to be the worst team in the league. They got rid of everybody. The only two people that they have is Patrick Surtain. And I'm honestly surprised they haven't moved on from Cortland Sutton yet. They got rid of Jerry Jeudy. They got rid of Justin Simmons, which shocked the hell out of me.
He's still a free agent too, isn't he? He's unsigned.
No, he signed with
Tennessee.
No, I don't think he's.
That was Quandre Diggs.
I think it might have been Atlanta or the New York Giants. It was one of the two.
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta, which that's a phenomenal pickup if you're Atlanta. But they're looking to rebuild. They're literally tearing everything apart. They want to see what they have out of this guy, Bo Nix. They're not going to get protection for him. They're not going to get. They have Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton has not proved anything to me. I don't even know their wide receiver two. Their tight end is Greg Dulcich. Their defense is the worst I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, you got to see what you got, right? You got to see what you got, and if you don't have anything, then get it out. That's pretty much what they're doing right now.
All you did for me right there is just lay out the case as to why you don't play him this year, tank the year, get a better draft pick, and come back the next year, and then see what the kid's rocking with.
But here's my thing. I think if you're Sean Payton, right, you need to see who's going to be your guy, and you need to see what you have out of Bo Nix. Because, again, it's preseason, right? So we don't know the starters, and obviously they might not be going as hard. Like Bo Nix, we need to see what we have during the regular season. And if we're like, oh,
here's my problem with it, right? And I hear you. But like you just said, there's absolutely nothing there. What was the biggest mistake of why Cleveland never got their damn rebuild underway? Because it was just, hey, we think that if we just replace our quarterback with the top pick every year or every other year, we think that that's going to fix us and that's going to mask the mistake of what the real problem is. That is that we're not good. We're not a good franchise right now. Our depth is absolutely nowhere. Can't even tell you what the name of the starters are. And that's, diehard fans are probably having damn hard time keeping up with who's going to be in their starting position right now.
All right,
Even if
could I
it's not
ask
the
a question?
guy, you still need to not. What are you going to do? Go get a new quarterback? You think Carson Beck's going to come in there and do a better job than what you have right this second? I mean, the kid threw 3 interceptions last year, the entire year playing at Oregon, which was a pretty competitive team. Like Bo Nix was quality. You're not going to get a better quarterback through the draft that's going to change you around right now. Even seeing what you have, you still need to go out there the next year, right? And bring in other position talent. I think Bo Nix, I'm not saying he's going to be, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, any of that, but I think he could be usable. And I got guys that are going to be paid to take the hit. They've already been paid for their careers to take the hit.
Cool. Go ahead, and then I'm gonna say something.
No, that's all I got. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was just gonna say but if you're not sure about what you have on the rest of that roster, don't you want to try and find out if you just used your first round pick on a quarterback this past draft. You're not sure if he's going to be your long-term guy or not. You have to see how he's doing in the season, as Kahlil said, in regular season speed, and know for sure or not if he's going to be your guy going forward. I know the rest of the roster has question marks. I know that there's holes to fill everywhere, but if you have the quarterback done already, that's a big box you just checked. Like, take a look at the Chargers situation. This is going to be year one of the Jim Harbaugh era. They're going full rebuild, full wipe, but they have Justin Herbert. They have the franchise quarterback, and they don't have to worry about that anymore. They can worry about filling out the rest of the roster, because it's a hell of a lot easier to find above average players at other positions than it is to find an above average quarterback. You know what I mean?
Sure, but like we said, if he has nothing to work with, right? Let's not act like Herbert had nothing to work with. Like you got to see some real highlights there. There's not even the kid's not gonna have a chance to have a highlight because there's nothing to work with, right? And then what's the point of playing him the first season? Even if he has flashes, teams are still rusty. I want to see him down the line where I can actually give him some advantage. My guys are in some kind of form, which is still going to be a bad form, but see him against real competition. I think putting him out there week 1 just isn't the move for me. I like that week 5 to 6 spot if you're gonna go put him out there.
I'm not resting a guy for a whole year, or even just even the first 4 weeks. I'm gonna see what I got out of him. Let's see what you got, and he's gonna want to play too. He's fired up. He wants to play at the NFL level. Let's see what you got, kid. Because guess what? If he doesn't play well, and we don't see any flashes and any promise out of this guy, not gonna want him.
Yeah, and then you are looking at Carson Beck next year, and you are looking at Shadir Sanders. You know what I mean?
I think that the turnaround on the quarterback position these days, it's way too fast.
Yeah.
You need development with it, And there's nothing wrong, as we saw from Jordan Love, right? Sitting behind a guy for a little bit and learning, right? Or just learning what not to do by looking at some hot garbage.
But that's the exception, not the norm. Because how many teams are drafting a guy in the first round and letting him sit for 3 years behind a Hall of Famer?
How many guys are drafting guys? How many teams are drafting guys pretty high? They're not working out, and they're shipping them out and trying to get somebody new in there too. It's clearly not working. I think we got to go back to developing guys a bit. It's not that these guys are bad. It's that this organization literally has nothing, and you're putting me out there against, I'm literally walking out there covered in gravy, just a big slab of meat, and the Lions are out for hunting. This is the cream of the crop.
26. He's 26.
He's actually 26.
There's no way he's 26.
Dude,
I thought he's got to be 24.
He's 24.
He's 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, by 26, I know what I got. Deuces, you're out of here. It's this, you know what I'm saying? But give it time. You got to build up those other places. It's not just, dude, listen, offensive line is the cornerstone to competency in a franchise, right? That's what it is. You think Patrick Mahomes is winning Super Bowls because he's got a great wide receiving core? Hell no. What does he have? That's phenomenal. A fantastic offensive line and the best coach in the NFL right now. Not to mention, he is the most magical guy out there, but you're not going to get the most magical guy. You can get the best offensive line. You can put that together, whether it's through competent drafting, whether it's through paying a guy in free agency, whether it's trading for it. These are moves you can absolutely make, as opposed to rolling the dice on a quarterback that is legitimately, at best, a 50-50 shot odds.
Again, I'm not resting a 24-year-old. Sorry.
Okay.
We get him pizza. And he's not learning under anybody special. It's Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham.
No, like I said, that is a situation. You're learning under Sean Payton, right? And this is what they do. Yeah, look, not only don't do that, here's how you avoid doing that. All right?
Yeah, but
that's how you learn that.
But what would you say? Would it be better to watch that, or would you be better on the field learning that firsthand?
I don't want to be out there, learning it firsthand if, like I said, there's nothing to work with and I'm just out there naked. You got to give me some protection. You got to give me something to work with, and they don't got it. But I digress.
It's a good question, though, because it is a fine line between either, getting a rookie quarterback's, a young quarterback's legs wet in terms of NFL speed and what it takes to, be in the huddle, call a play, run the play, and then also damaging their ego, like, for example,
confidence.
Damaging the confidence, like, which is what happened with Zach Wilson the last few years with the Jets. So it's a tightrope you got to walk, but the best coaches, Sean Payton, I'm sure can find that line. That's all I got for today, guys. I mean, we're 8 days away from the opening of the NFL season.
You got game one.
Game one. Oh, Chiefs Ravens.
Yep.
I'm
hyped.
As much as I think the Ravens are a better team right now than the Chiefs, I don't see Kansas City losing back-to-back Super Bowl ring ceremonies at home. So I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs.
The Ravens are coming. That's all I gotta say. The Ravens are coming, bro. Listen, for anybody out there, I don't know how we have to figure this out, but somebody needs to find a way to get me Sunday ticket. If we gotta all split it, different accounts, logging in, we gotta figure this out. All right.
Stream East.
Text me that, thank you.
You don't know what Stream East is?
Nope, I'm an old man, bro.
Yeah, he's up there.
All right.
Charlie, who does all the technical stuff for our podcast that has not to do with editing? And even some actually good portion of editing. Who does all the technical stuff? It sure as hell ain't me, all right? Otherwise, this damn thing never get off the ground. You know what I'm saying? Charlie.
Because you're old.
I come through. I'm the old man. I give a perspective. You might not love it. You might hate it. But it at least drives a conversation, and that's all I could ask for, my friend.
All right, you make a good point. I cannot argue with that.
Thank you. All right, there you have it. Once again, guys, you can follow Kahlil at Hot Take Empire Fantasy on Instagram, on TikTok. Hot Take Fantasy. My bad. Hot Take Fantasy on TikTok, on Instagram. You can also follow his personal account at
Kahlil _Calloway.
There you have it. That is KAHLIL _CALLOWAYA. Got you, buddy.
What?
Is it not
you mean
O
WAY?
WAY?
Yeah, why you just add another A?
I added an A. I
Callaway.
added an A. Listen, we got graphics. We have the best graphic team. Shout out Stefania. Shout out Tulio. Shout out Lexi. We appreciate y'all. To fix mistakes like I just made, that I've made this entire podcast. But you know what? We live, we learn, we get better. You already know what it is. Mazz and Bads, baby. Another episode in the books. And we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.